Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's me Swastika, and today I'll be going over the topic the president with you. So I have basically divided this topic into three parts so that it's convenient for me to teach and for you to learn. So this topic is very important from the perspective of competitive papers. But before I talk about that, let me just give you a brief about myself. So I am currently pursuing my masters in political science from Jawaharlal Nehru University. So I've basically been learning political science for the last like 8 years now, and I have also completed my bachelor's in political science from Delhi University. I am here to learn and unlearn with you, and in case you like my content, please don't forget to press the subscribe button. That's the red button at the bottom of your video screen. So this topic, the notes I've made for it are basically from LAXMIKANTH, Indian Polity, chapter number 18, the Constitution of India, and also from my class notes. So this is super relevant for people who are preparing for like competitive papers like NET UGC, civil services papers, CDS, and like all the other government papers. I'm saying that and I'm generalizing that because Indian polity is something that is asked in objective questions, it's asked objectively, and it's also asked subjectively. So I basically forgot the Constitution of India and Lakshmikant in my hostel room in JNU, and I no longer have access to it. So I'll straight off be teaching from my class notes. So I hope you guys find it useful, and without any further ado, let's begin. So in this, we will basically be discussing the introduction, the qualification, the conditions for president's office, the procedure for election, impeachment, and vacancy. So whenever we talk about the union executive, we always have to keep in mind that the articles in question are Article 52 to 78 in Part 5 of the Constitution. So when I talk about the union executive, that basically consists of the president, the vice president, the prime minister, the council of ministers, and the attorney general of इंडिया. कुछ नहीं करना, बस 5 चीजें याद रखनी है. प्रेसिडेंट होता है, एक वाइस प्रेसिडेंट होता है, एक काउंसिल ऑफ मिनिस्टर्स होता है, काउंसिल ऑफ मिनिस्टर्स के ऊपर उसका बाप प्राइम मिनिस्टर होता है, एंड एक अटॉर्नी जनरल ऑफ इंडिया होता है. तो ये जो 5 चीजें हैं ये यूनियन एग्जीक्यूटिव को कंसिस्ट करती हैं, और यूनियन एग्जीक्यूटिव की हम जब भी बात करते हैं तो वो फिफ्थ पार्ट of the constitution from article 52 to article number 58 उसको रेफर करते हैं. So the president is obviously referred to as the head of the Indian state. He is also referred to as the first citizen of India. He acts as the symbol for unity, integrity, and solidarity of the nation. So what have we discussed? Let's go over it from the beginning. We have discussed that there is a union executive. This union executive is from Article 52 to Article 78 in Part 5 of the Constitution. In this Part 5 of the Constitution, there are 6 positions that we have to keep in mind when we talk about the union executive. These positions are President, Vice President, Prime Minister, Council of Ministers, and Attorney General of India. I'm sorry I said 6, I meant 5. So, fifth part of the Constitution is Union Executive. Union Executive consists of 5 positions, and those 5 positions are President, Vice President, Council of Ministers, ka father, obviously Prime Minister, and Attorney General of India. So whenever we talk about the president is obviously the head of the Indian state. He is also the first citizen, and he acts as a symbol of unity, integrity, and solidarity of the nation. So what are the qualifications that make a president? So the qualifications are basically mentioned in article number 58 of the Constitution. and they say that he should be a citizen of India. ठीक है, तो ये आर्टिकल 58 में मेंशन्ड है क्वालिफिकेशंस, और ये क्वालिफिकेशंस है फर्स्टली ही शुड बी एन citizen of India. He should have completed 35 years of age. He should be qualified for election as a member of the Lok Sabha, and he should not hold any office of profit under the government of India or the government of any state. In this, it is also important to remember that the nomination to the office of the president must be subscribed by at least 50 electors as proposers and 50 electors as seconders. So this means that whenever the office of the president is being nominated, 50 people should be proposing it and 50 electors should be seconding that proposal. He also has to make a increased security deposit of rupees 15,000. Earlier it was rupees 2,500. So what have we discussed till now? We have said that 52 to 78 consists of the articles of the Constitution, which basically talk about the Union Executive in Part 5 of the Constitution. So Part 5 of the Constitution has 5 main components that we will discuss, and these components are the President, the Vice President, the Prime Minister, the Council of Ministers, the Attorney General of India. After that, we talk about Article 58, in which we discuss the qualifications that are absolutely important for one to become the President of India. These qualifications include one being a citizen of India, he should have completed 35 years of age, he should be qualified for election as a member of the Lok Sabha, he should not hold any office of profit under the government of India or any government of state. The nomination to the office of the president must be subscribed by at least 50 electors as proposers and 50 electors as seconders. Earlier, the security deposit for this very purpose was rupees 15,000, but now it is 15,000, and earlier it was 2,500. So the security deposit money has increased. Now we will discuss the conditions to the president's office. He should not be a member of either house of the parliament or a house of the state legislature. He should not hold any office of profit. He is entitled without payment of rent to his official residence at Rashtrapati Bhavan. He is also entitled to such emoluments, allowances and privileges as may be determined by Parliament. His emolument allowances cannot be diminished during his term at office. He also enjoys personal immunity from legal liability for his official acts. During his term in his office, he is immune from any criminal proceedings, even in respect of his personal acts, and he cannot be arrested or imprisoned. So, let's go over this quickly once more. What are the conditions to a president's office? So, a president can only become a president if he satisfies these conditions. One is obviously that he should not be a member of either house of the parliament or a house of the state legislature. He should not hold any office of profit. He is entitled without payment of rent to his official residence at Rashtrapati Bhavan. So the official residence of the president is Rashtrapati Bhavan, and he has emoluments, allowances and privileges that may be determined by the parliament, and his allowances cannot be diminished during his term at office. He also enjoys personal immunity from his legal liability for any official acts. Actually, this is pretty important because sometimes in objective questions, they'll just ask you, can a president be put into jail during his term at an office? So he can't, because he enjoys immunity from any legal liability for his official acts. During his term in office, he is immune from any criminal proceedings, even in respect of his personal acts. So you cannot drag the president into any criminal proceedings in both his personal and also his public life. Because he cannot be arrested or imprisoned. So he enjoys a lot of immunity when he is in the office. So in the next part, we will be discussing the procedure of election. This is very important. Just star mark it because this is asked in a lot of papers. Every time I've given any competitive paper, they have always asked something from the procedure for election because it's a little confusing, and you have to go over it at least one, like 2-3 times before you actually get comfortable with this. So when we discuss the procedure for election, obviously first we have to understand what the electoral college consists of. So the president is obviously not elected directly, but by the people, but by the members of an electoral college. So the president is not elected directly by the people, but he is elected by the members of an electoral college. So this electoral college basically consists of elected members of both the houses of the parliament. Please keep in mind that it is not like one house or the another house, Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha. It consists of members from both the houses of the parliament and the elected members, the elected members of the legislative assemblies, the elected members of legislative assemblies of union territories of Delhi and Pondicherry by the 70th Amendment Act. So Delhi and Pondicherry basically have their own legislature and their legislative assemblies, and the elected members from the legislative assemblies of Delhi and Pondicherry also form the electoral college. So the procedure is in article number 55 of the constitution, and it basically says that the president of India is indirectly elected. We've already discussed this, and with the system of proportional representation by the means of a single transferable vote, and the voting is done by a secret ballot. So this is the most important line. Four keywords are there. First is that the president is indirectly elected. The second keyword is that proportional representation has to happen. The third keyword is that there is a single transferable vote, and the last is obviously a secret ballot. The value of the vote of the MLA is to be divided by 1000. His oath is administered by the Chief Justice of India, and in his absence, the senior most judge of the Supreme Court. So the oath that the president takes is administered by the Chief Justice of India, and in case the Chief Justice of India is not there, in his absence, the senior most judge of the Supreme Court administers the oath. So that we have quickly gone over. So there is like a formula in which you have to divide the total population of the state by the total number of elected members of the state by 1000, and this is how the value of the MLA is taken. Similarly, there is a formula for the MP in which the sum of the vote value of elected members of all the legislative assemblies is divided by the sum of elected members of both the houses of the parliament. But it's not necessary to keep the formula in mind because it's hardly ever tested. What you do need to remember from whatever we've discussed till now is A, obviously the articles, and B, you need to remember the electoral college. No person can be declared elected as the president unless he secures more than half of the total votes cast. So that is also there. In the next piece, we are going to discuss the impeachment of the president. So this is basically in Article 61 of the Constitution. Article 61 talks about the impeachment of the president, and it's a very complicated process. It's very long drawn. It's not easily done. So let's begin with it. The president can be impeached for the violation of the Constitution. However, the Constitution does not define the meaning of the phrase violation of the Constitution. The charges can be initiated by either house, Rajya Sabha or Lok Sabha, with at least 1/4 of the total membership of the house. At least 14 days notice in writing has to be signed by not less than 1/4 of the total members of the house after they have given their intention to move the resolution. 2/3 of the total membership of the House must pass such a resolution. Charges can be investigated by the other House when the President can defend himself. If the other House passes the resolution after finding the charges valid, the President is removed from his office. So this is the process, and as you can see, it's a pretty long process, and in this process we see that the reason for the impeachment of the president is that he can be impeached if there is a violation of the constitution. This also, the impeachment comes under Article 61, but the constitution does not clearly define what they mean by the phrase violation of the constitution. The charges for impeachment can be initiated in either house of like Rajya Sabha or Lok Sabha with at least 1/4 of the total membership of the house. At least a 14-day notice in writing has to be signed by not less than 1/4 of the total members of the house. 2/3 of the total membership of the house must pass such a resolution. The charges must be investigated by other house when the president can defend himself. The other house passes the resolution. After finding the charges valid, the president is removed from his office. So this impeachment is a quasi-judicial process. The nominated members of either house of the parliament can participate in the impeachment, though they don't participate in this election. Guys, okay, so this point is so important. It's so important because it's asked every time, because it's an exception to a generic rule. So what happens is when we discuss the electoral college of the president, we saw that all the members are elected. But when we talk about the impeachment, so when the president is being impeached, the nominated members of either house of the parliament can participate in the impeachment. The elected members of the legislative assemblies of the state and the union territories of Delhi and Pondicherry do not participate in the impeachment, though they participate in the election. So this is also something we have to keep in mind. So the next thing that we are going to talk about is vacancy. So a vacancy can happen during and in the following ways. The first is the expiry of his tenure of 5 years, his resignation, his removal by impeachment, death, or when he becomes disqualified to hold office, or when his election is declared void. So either by the expiry of tenure of 5 years, or by the president's own resignation, or if he's impeached, or maybe he dies, or when he becomes disqualified to hold the office, or when his election is declared void. In case of vacancy arising by any other reason, an election to fill the vacancy must be held as soon as possible, and in no case later than 6 months from the date of the occurrence of the vacancy. So if the president's seat is vacant, the vice president can take over. If the vice president is not there, the Chief Justice of India can take over. If the Chief Justice of India is not there, then the senior most judge can take over. Okay, so thank you for watching, and in case you like my content, in case you like what you see and the overall content, please don't forget to press the subscribe button. That's going to be absolutely great. Thank you. And also wait for the next 2 parts. There are 3 parts to this topic.